One setup gone wrong, a black woman's wrong seat turned a billionaire's world upside down. I had 17 minutes to get across Charleston before my best friend started panicking. What I didn't know was that in less than an hour, I'd be sitting at the wrong table, talking to the wrong man, and somehow finding exactly the right person. Sometimes the best things in life happen when everything goes completely wrong. Close your eyes for just a moment. Think about the last time a story made you feel something real. Made your heart race. Made tears fall without permission. Made you remember why being human is so beautifully complicated. That's what we do here at CJ Stories. Whether you're returning or just discovering us, welcome home. This is your safe space for tears, laughter, hope, and everything in between. Today's story will take you somewhere unexpected. It'll make you think. It'll make you feel. And I promise you, you won't see the ending coming. But here's the thing, the magic only works if you stay till the very end. No skipping. Just you, me, and a story that might just change how you see the world. If it moves you, let me know you're here, subscribe, like, and share this with someone whose heart needs touching today. Ready? Let's step into today's story. Mary Jane Mitchell had exactly 17 minutes to get across downtown Charleston before her best friend started sending the panic texts. She checked her phone at the stoplight, already running behind because the gallery showing had gone longer than expected. 3 paintings sold tonight. 3. Her hands were still shaking from the adrenaline of watching strangers fall in love with her work, hand over actual money for pieces of her soul rendered in acrylic and canvas. 33 years old, and she was finally, making it as an artist. The light changed. She pressed the gas, her 10-year-old Honda making a sound that definitely wasn't normal. She'd deal with that later. Right now, she had to get to Magnolia's before Tasha sent out a search party. Her phone buzzed. Speak of the devil. I'm 5 minutes away, Mary Jane answered, wedging the phone between her shoulder and ear as she turned onto East Bay Street. You said that 10 minutes ago. Tasha's voice carried that blend of amusement and exasperation that came from 15 years of friendship. Also, change of plans. We're doing Hall's Chop House instead. My treat. Consider it a congrats on selling 3 paintings dinner. Tasha, that place is expensive, I know. That's why I said my treat. I got the promotion, remember? Let me celebrate you celebrating you. Tables reserved for 7:30. Under Davidson. Mary Jane glanced at the clock. 7:28. I'm literally pulling up to Magnolia's right now. So pull up to Hall's instead. It's like 3 blocks away. Table's ready. I'm already here. Move it, Mitchell. The line went dead. Mary Jane shook her head, already circling back, trying to remember where Hall's Chop House even was. She'd passed it 100 times but never been inside. That was Tasha's world, corporate lawyer money, expense accounts, the kind of life where $100 steak was just Tuesday. She found parking, miracle, and checked her reflection in the rearview mirror. The paint smudge on her jaw had mostly come off. Her natural hair was pulled back in a low puff, small gold hoops in her ears. The black wrap dress was simple, appropriate for both a gallery showing and apparently an upscale steakhouse. It would have to do. Inside, Hall's Chop House was all dark wood and soft lighting, the kind of place where people spoke in low voices and the waitstaff moved like dancers. Mary Jane stepped up to the host stand, suddenly aware of how out of place she felt. Hi, I'm meeting someone. Reservation under Davidson? The host, young, blonde, perfect posture, checked her tablet. Right this way. Mary Jane followed her through the restaurant, past tables of men in suits and women in designer dresses. The host stopped at a table in the back corner, intimate and quiet, and gestured to the seat. Your server will be right with you. Thank you. Mary Jane slid into the booth, looking around. No Tasha. She checked her phone. No texts either. A server appeared almost immediately. Good evening. Can I start you with something to drink? Just water for now, thanks. I'm waiting for someone. Of course. Mary Jane settled in, people watching to pass the time. That's when she noticed him. 3 tables over, facing her direction. White guy, mid-30s maybe, dark blonde hair that looked professionally styled but still somehow casual. Sharp jawline. Wearing a navy suit that probably cost more than her car. He was alone, phone in hand, not really looking at it. More like hiding behind it. He glanced up. Their eyes met for half a second before Mary Jane looked away, suddenly very interested in the menu. Her phone buzzed. Tasha, small crisis. Client called. Need 20 minutes. Order wine. Expensive wine. I'm serious. Mary Jane sighed, typed back a thumbs up, and caught the server's attention. Actually, can I get a glass of wine? What do you recommend? The Pinot Noir is excellent. Willamette Valley, 2019. Sure. That sounds good. Alone at a fancy steakhouse on a Tuesday night. This was fine. Totally normal. She pulled out her phone, scrolled through Instagram without really seeing anything, tried not to feel self-conscious. "Excuse me?" Mary Jane looked up. Navy suit guy was standing next to her table. Up close, he was even more attractive, light brown eyes, the kind of face that belonged in a cologne ad, but something uncertain in his expression. "Hi," he said. "This is going to sound strange, but did Patricia send you?" Mary Jane blinked. "I'm sorry, what?" "Patricia. My assistant," she said. He trailed off, looking uncomfortable. "You know what, never mind. I'm sorry. Wrong table probably." He started to turn away. "Wait," Mary Jane said, confused. "I think there's been a mix-up. I'm just waiting for my friend." "Right. Yeah. Sorry to bother you." But he didn't move. Just stood there, looking somehow both confident and completely out of his depth. "I should explain. My assistant set up a blind date for tonight. 7:30. This restaurant. And when I saw you sitting alone, I just assumed." Understanding clicked. "Oh. No, I'm not. This isn't a date." "Well, it is, but not that kind. Dinner with my best friend. She's running late." "Got it." He smiled, and it transformed his whole face. "That's embarrassing." "Little bit," Mary Jane said, and surprised herself by smiling back. "I'm Reed, by the way. Reed Thompson." "Mary Jane. Mitchell." An awkward pause. Reed glanced back at his table, then at her. "Can I ask you something?" "Sure. Is it insane that I'm relieved you're not my blind date?" Mary Jane laughed. "That's not really something you should admit to a stranger." "Probably not. But here we are." He shifted his weight. "The truth is, Patricia's been setting me up for months. She thinks I work too much. And she's right, but that doesn't mean I want to spend my evenings making small talk with women who expect. I don't know. Something I'm not good at giving." There was something disarming about his honesty. Mary Jane tilted her head. "What are you not good at giving?" "The whole dating performance. The right compliments at the right time. Knowing when to text, how often to text. All of it." He paused. "That was probably too honest." "No, I get it. Dating's exhausting. Right? It's like everyone's reading from a script and I missed the rehearsal." Reed looked at her for a moment. "You seem like you'd be good at it though." "At dating?" Mary Jane shook her head. "Not even close. I'm married to my work." Which sounds like a line, but it's just true. "What do you do?" "I'm a painter. Artist. I had a showing tonight, actually. Sold 3 pieces." Something shifted in Reed's expression. Genuine interest. "That's incredible. Congratulations." "Thank you. What do you paint?" No one ever asked that. They usually just said, "Oh, cool," and changed the subject. Mary Jane found herself sitting up straighter. "Lately, a lot of architecture. Buildings, bridges, the way light hits old structures. There's something about the bones of a city that feels like portraiture to me." "The bones of a city," Reed repeated. "I like that." The server appeared with Mary Jane's wine. "Here you are. Will you be ordering soon?" "Still waiting," Mary Jane said. The server left. Reed was still standing there, looking like he wanted to say something else. "So," Mary Jane said, "shouldn't you be getting back to your table? Your actual blind date might show up." "Yeah. Probably." He didn't move. "This is going to sound crazy. Seems like that kind of night. Can I sit? Just for a minute. If your friend's not here yet." Mary Jane should have said no. Should have made some polite excuse. Instead, she heard herself say, "Sure. Why not?" Reed slid into the booth across from her, and Mary Jane noticed he moved with the kind of ease that came from being comfortable anywhere. Old money comfortable. She'd seen enough of Charleston's upper crust to recognize it. "So why do you let your assistant set you up if you hate it so much?" Mary Jane asked. "Because she's terrifying and I'm a coward." He smiled. "Also, she's not wrong. I do work too much. Haven't had a relationship in, God, 6 years? 7? That's a long time." "Yeah." He looked down at his hands. "Had my reasons. But they're starting to feel more like excuses." Mary Jane sipped her wine. This was the strangest conversation she'd had in months. "What do you do?" "For work. Real estate development. Commercial properties mostly. Some residential." "Sounds important." "Sounds boring, you mean." But he was smiling. "It can be. But there's something satisfying about taking a space that's forgotten and making it useful again. Giving it new life. That's not boring at all. That's actually kind of beautiful." Reed looked at her, something unreadable in his expression. "Most people don't see it that way. Most people aren't artists. We see the world a little differently." "Clearly." Mary Jane's phone buzzed. She glanced down. Tasha, this is taking longer than I thought. Maybe we should reschedule? I'm so sorry, babe. Disappointment settled in Mary Jane's chest. She'd been looking forward to this all week. But she typed back, no worries. We'll catch up soon. When she looked up, Reed was watching her. Everything okay? Friend can't make it. Work thing. Mary Jane reached for her purse. Which means I should probably get out of your way. Let you wait for your date in peace. Don't. Something in his voice made her pause. Don't what? Leave. Not yet. Reed leaned forward slightly. Look, I know this is weird. We're strangers. But I'm supposed to sit here and have dinner with someone I've never met anyway, right? Make small talk. Pretend to be interested in whatever we have in common, which is probably nothing. That's pretty cynical. It's realistic. He met her eyes. But talking to you? This feels different. Real. And I don't want it to stop yet. Mary Jane should definitely say no now. This was how horror movies started. Or really bad decisions. But there was something about Reed Thompson that felt safe. Genuine. You want to have dinner, she said slowly. With me. Instead of your actual blind date. When you say it like that, it sounds bad. It kind of is bad. I know. Reed pulled out his phone. Give me 1 second. He typed something quickly, then set the phone down. There. Texted Patricia. Told her something came up, can't make it tonight, please apologize to whoever she set me up with and I'll make it up to them somehow. You just canceled your blind date. I did. To have dinner with me. If you're willing. If not, I completely understand and I'll go back to my table and feel like an idiot alone instead of in company. Mary Jane laughed. She couldn't help it. This is insane. Little bit. I don't even know you. That's kind of the point of dinner though, right? Getting to know someone. Reed's expression turned more serious. But if you're uncomfortable, just say the word. I'll go. No hard feelings. Mary Jane looked at him. Really looked. There was something in his eyes that made her think he didn't do this kind of thing often. The spontaneous dinner with a stranger. The honesty that bordered on too much. She thought about going home to her empty apartment. Heating up leftovers. Spending another night alone with her paintings. Okay, she heard herself say. Yeah. Let's have dinner. Why not? Reed's smile was immediate and genuine. Really? Don't make me change my mind. Wouldn't dream of it. He flagged down their server. Can we get menus? And I'll have whatever she's having. He nodded at Mary Jane's wine. Excellent choice, sir. When the server left, Reed turned back to Mary Jane. So, Mary Jane Mitchell. Tell me everything. Everything's a lot. We've got time. And somehow, Mary Jane found herself talking. Really talking. About growing up in North Charleston, about her mother who cleaned houses to put her through college, about her father who passed when she was 30 and left her with just enough to quit her graphic design job and try making it as a real artist. 3 years I've been doing this full time, she said, surprised at how easy it was to tell him. Tonight was the first time I actually felt like maybe I made the right choice. 3 paintings in one night? That's not luck. That's talent. Or people with more money than sense. Reed shook his head. Don't do that. Don't minimize what you've accomplished. You took a risk. It's paying off. That's worth celebrating. Their food arrived. Mary Jane had ordered the salmon without really looking at the menu. Reed had gotten a steak that looked like it cost more than her car payment. Your turn, Mary Jane said. Tell me about Reed Thompson. Not much to tell. That's a cop-out. I just gave you my whole life story. Fair enough. Reed cut into his steak. Grew up here. Charleston born and raised. My dad built the company from nothing. Commercial real estate, started in the 80s. I was supposed to take over. So I did. Supposed to? It's what was expected. Legacy and all that. He paused. I'm good at it. I make money. I employ people. But sometimes I wonder what I'd be doing if I'd actually chosen this instead of just inheriting it. Mary Jane heard something in his voice. Something that sounded like her 3 years ago, before she took the leap. What would you be doing? Teaching, maybe. History. I loved it in college. Almost majored in it before my dad had a quiet conversation about responsibility and family obligations. Reed looked up at her. That sounds ungrateful. It sounds honest. I don't usually talk about this stuff. You don't usually have dinner with random women at steakhouses either, I'm guessing. True. He smiled. You're easy to talk to. That's dangerous. Why dangerous? Because I'm already telling you things I don't tell anyone. And we've known each other for what, 30 minutes? Mary Jane checked her phone. 45, actually. Time flies. They ate in comfortable silence for a moment. Mary Jane tried to remember the last time she'd felt this relaxed with someone new. Couldn't. Can I ask you something? Reed said. You've been asking me things all night. This one's more personal. Go for it. Why are you single? And before you say something self-deprecating, I'm asking because I'm genuinely confused. You're talented, interesting, beautiful. Seems like you'd have your pick. Mary Jane felt heat rise in her cheeks. You think I'm beautiful? I think you're stunning. But I'm trying not to be creepy about it. Little late for that, Mary Jane said, but she was smiling. And to answer your question, I told you. Married to my work. Also, most guys don't know what to do with a woman who'd rather spend her Friday night in a studio covered in paint than at some bar. Their loss. What about you? 6, 7 years, you said. That's a long time. Reed's expression shifted. Something guarded crossed his face. I was engaged. Long time ago. Well, 6 years ago. Feels like longer. What happened? She wanted someone who could give her attention. Time. Hormones. All the things you're supposed to want from a partner. He paused. And I was building the company. Working 80-hour weeks. Couldn't figure out how to be both the man she needed and the businessman my father expected. So I chose the business. She left? She left. Can't say I blame her. I wasn't there. Not really. Even when I was physically there, I was thinking about projects, deals, problems to solve. Reed looked at Mary Jane. After that, I just stopped trying. Easier to be alone than to keep disappointing people. Mary Jane set down her fork. That's sad. Which part? The part where you decided you're not capable of giving someone what they need. That's not being realistic. That's just being scared. Reed went still. You don't pull punches, do you? Sorry. Artist brain. We tend to say what we see. Don't apologize. You're right. He took a drink of his wine. I am scared. Terrified, actually. Of trying again and failing again. Of being not enough again. What if you are enough though? What if the right person doesn't need you to be someone you're not? That a philosophical question, or are you speaking from experience? Mary Jane smiled. Philosophical. I'm as messed up about this stuff as you are. Maybe more. I doubt that. Trust me. I've had exactly 2 serious relationships in my entire life. One in college that ended because he couldn't understand why I'd rather paint than go to parties. One 3 years ago that ended because he thought my art was a hobby I'd eventually grow out of. She shook her head. So yeah, I get it. The being alone thing. It's safer. But you don't seem like someone who plays it safe. What makes you say that? Reed gestured around them. You're having dinner with a complete stranger who approached you under completely bizarre circumstances. You quit your job to chase a dream. You create things that didn't exist before and put them out in the world for people to judge. That's the opposite of safe. Mary Jane considered that. Maybe. Or maybe I'm just better at being brave about my work than my personal life. Aren't we all? Their server returned. Can I interest you in dessert? Coffee? Reed looked at Mary Jane. What do you think? She should go home. This had already gone on longer than it should have. But she wasn't ready for it to end. Coffee sounds good. 2 coffees, Reed said. And whatever dessert you recommend. We'll share. When the server left, Mary Jane leaned back in the booth. So this is the strangest Tuesday I've had in a while. Same. But good strange. Yeah. Good strange. Reed's phone buzzed. He glanced at it, made a face. Patricia. She wants to know what came up and if I'm okay. You should probably tell her the truth. That I accidentally propositioned a stranger thinking she was my blind date and then convinced her to have dinner with me instead? That'll go over well. Mary Jane laughed. When you put it that way. How would you put it? I'd say you met someone. And you wanted to get to know her better. That's all. Reed looked at her for a long moment. That's all? Something in his voice made Mary Jane's heart skip. What else would it be? I don't know yet. But I'd like to find out. The coffee arrived with a chocolate torte that looked like art itself. Reed pushed it toward Mary Jane. You first. She took a bite. Rich, dark, perfect. Oh my God. Good. Incredible. Reed tried it, nodded his approval. They ate in silence for a moment, and Mary Jane realized she couldn't remember the last time silence with someone felt this comfortable. Can I see your work? Reed asked suddenly. What? Your paintings. Do you have pictures? Or a website or something? Mary Jane pulled out her phone, navigated to her Instagram. It's not a real website. Just social media. But yeah. Here. She handed him the phone. Watched his face as he scrolled through her posts. Saw genuine interest there. Not polite interest. Real engagement. These are remarkable, he said finally. This one. The bridge at sunset. There's something about the light. That's the Ravenel. I must have painted it a dozen times. Can't get it right. Looks pretty right to me. You're being nice. I'm being honest. There's a difference. Reed handed back her phone. You should have a real website. Portfolio, contact info, pricing. You're leaving money on the table. Web design isn't really my thing. Let me help. Mary Jane blinked. What? I know people. Good people who do this for a living. Let me connect you. No charge. Consider it a congratulations present for selling 3 paintings. Reed, I can't. You can. And you should. This is what I do. Connect people, solve problems, make things happen. Let me do this one thing. Mary Jane looked at him. At this man she'd met an hour ago who was offering to help her career for no reason other than he could. It should feel suspicious. It should feel like there were strings attached. It didn't. Okay, she said quietly. Thank you. Don't thank me yet. Wait till you see the results. They finished their coffee. Reed insisted on paying despite Mary Jane's protests. You can get the next one, he said, and something about the casual assumption of a next time made her stomach flutter. Outside, the Charleston night was warm and humid. Mary Jane could smell the salt from the harbor, hear the distant sound of music from one of the bars on Market Street. Where are you parked? Reed asked. Just down the block. You. Same direction. They walked slowly, neither seeming eager to end the evening. When they reached Mary Jane's car, she turned to face him. This was nice, she said. Unexpected. But nice. Yeah. Reed smiled. Can I be honest about something? You've been honest about everything else tonight. I'm really glad you sat at the wrong table. It wasn't the wrong table. It was exactly where I was supposed to be. You believe that? Fate and all that? Mary Jane thought about it. About the gallery showing running late, Tasha's last-minute change of plans, the host seating her at this specific booth. About Reed Thompson working up the courage to approach her. I don't know what I believe, she said. But I know I'm glad I stayed. Reed reached into his pocket, pulled out his phone. Can I have your number? I'd really like to see you again. If you want. I want. They exchanged numbers. Reed typed something into his phone, and a second later, Mary Jane's phone buzzed. She looked at the screen. This is Reed. The guy from the wrong table. Just making sure you didn't give me a fake number. Mary Jane laughed. You texted me while standing right in front of me? Had to be sure. That's ridiculous. But effective. He grinned. So, dinner again? This weekend maybe? I'd like that. Saturday? I'll pick you up. We can go somewhere less, this. He gestured back at the steakhouse. What's wrong with this? Nothing. But I want to know what you like. Not what I assume you'll like. So you pick. Anywhere you want. Mary Jane thought about all the fancy restaurants Tasha was always trying to drag her to. Thought about what she actually enjoyed. There's this little seafood place in Mount Pleasant. Vickery's. Nothing fancy. Just good food. I go there when I want to think. Vickery's it is. 7 o'clock? Perfect. Reed looked like he wanted to say something else. Do something else. Instead, he just smiled. Drive safe, Mary Jane Mitchell. You too, Reed Thompson. She got in her car, watched him walk away in her rearview mirror. Saw him look back once, catch her watching, smile. Her phone buzzed before she even pulled out of the parking space. Reed, already counting down to Saturday. Mary Jane smiled, typed back, me too. She drove home through the quiet Charleston streets, past the old buildings and historic churches, the antebellum houses and modern developments. Her city. The one she painted over and over, trying to capture its soul. Tonight felt like the beginning of something. She didn't know what yet. Didn't know if Reed Thompson was someone who'd understand her life, her priorities, her need to create. But for the first time in 3 years, she wanted to find out. Her phone rang as she pulled into her apartment complex. Tasha. Please tell me you didn't just go home after I bailed, Tasha said without preamble. I didn't just go home. Thank God. Where'd you go? What did you do? Mary Jane pulled into her parking space, turned off the engine. I had dinner. By yourself? With someone. A pause. Mary Jane Mitchell. Did you pick up a stranger at Hall's Chop House? It wasn't like that. It was complicated. And weird. And kind of perfect. I need details. All of them. Right now. Mary Jane got out of her car, headed up the stairs to her second-floor apartment. His name is Reed. He thought I was his blind date. I wasn't. We had dinner anyway. Tasha made a sound somewhere between a squeal and a laugh. Are you serious right now? Completely. And I'm seeing him again Saturday. Mary Jane. Oh my God. Details. I need every single detail. Mary Jane unlocked her door, stepped into her apartment. Her sanctuary. Canvases leaning against every wall, the smell of paint and turpentine, the organized chaos of a working artist space. Come over, she said. I'll make tea. Tell you everything. I'm already in my car. 20 minutes later, they were curled up on Mary Jane's couch, mugs of chamomile in hand, and Mary Jane was recounting every moment of the strangest, most wonderful evening she'd had in years. So let me get this straight, Tasha said when she finished. This guy just sat down at your table. Admitted he was relieved you weren't his date. And then convinced you to have dinner with him instead. Pretty much. And you said yes. I did. You, the woman who hasn't been on a date in a year, said yes to a complete stranger. When you say it like that, it sounds insane. Tasha grinned. It is insane. It's also the most romantic thing I've ever heard. It's not romantic. It's just unexpected. Girl, he bought you dinner. Got your number. Texted you before he even left. And he's already planning the next date. That's romantic. Mary Jane sipped her tea. Maybe. No maybe about it. Tasha leaned forward. So what's he look like? Please tell me he's gorgeous. Yeah. He's gorgeous. But not in an obvious way. More like the more you look at him, the better looking he gets. That's the best kind. And he was sweet. Real. We talked about actual things. Not small talk. Real conversation. I'm so happy for you, Tasha said softly. You deserve this. It's just one dinner. And one more planned. That's all. That's how it starts though. One dinner. Then another. Then suddenly you're in love and planning your life together. You're getting way ahead of yourself. Maybe. But I've got a good feeling about this one. After Tasha left, Mary Jane stood in front of her easel. The painting she'd been working on for weeks. The Ravenel Bridge again, because she couldn't let it go until she got it right. She picked up her brush, mixed colors, and for the first time in months, she knew exactly what the painting needed. Light. Not the harsh light of midday or the dramatic light of sunset. The soft, unexpected light of something just beginning. The kind of light that made you believe in second chances and right places and maybe, just maybe, fate. She painted until 2 in the morning, until her back ached and her eyes burned. Until the bridge on her canvas finally looked the way she'd always seen it in her mind. Beautiful. Strong. Connecting two places that seemed too far apart to ever meet. Her phone buzzed as she was washing her brushes. Reed, still awake? Mary Jane smiled. Mary Jane, just finished painting. You. Reed, couldn't sleep. Keep thinking about tonight. Mary Jane, good thoughts I hope. Reed, the best. Thank you for saying yes to dinner with a stranger. Mary Jane, thank you for being worth saying yes to. Reed, Saturday can't come fast enough. Mary Jane, agreed. Now go to sleep. Some of us have real jobs in the morning. Reed, artists don't have real jobs? Mary Jane, artists have the realest jobs. We create entire worlds. You just shuffle money around. Reed, ouch. Fair. But ouch. Mary Jane, good night Reed. Reed, good night Mary Jane. Sweet dreams. She set down her phone, looked around her apartment. At the life she'd built from nothing. The career she'd fought for. The independence she'd earned. For 3 years, it had been enough. More than enough. It had been everything. But standing there in her paint-stained clothes, thinking about a man she'd met by accident at the wrong table in a steakhouse, Mary Jane wondered if maybe she'd been wrong. Maybe it wasn't enough. Maybe there was room in this life for something more. Someone more. Maybe Reed Thompson was that someone. It was too soon to know. Too soon to hope. Too soon for any of this. But as she climbed into bed and closed her eyes, Mary Jane let herself imagine it anyway. Let herself wonder what it might be like to have someone who understood. Who saw her. Who wanted to know everything about her and didn't run when she told the truth. Saturday, she thought as sleep pulled her under. Just 4 more days. She couldn't wait. Saturday arrived slower than Mary Jane thought possible. She'd spent the days between Tuesday and Saturday trying not to obsess over text messages, failing miserably. Reed had texted her Wednesday morning with a simple, "Hope you're having a good day," and somehow that had turned into an ongoing conversation that lasted 3 days. Nothing heavy. Just life. He'd sent her pictures of buildings he was working on. She'd send him progress shots of her paintings. He'd ask about her day. She'd ask about his. It felt natural. Easy. Like they'd been doing this for months instead of days. Now it was Saturday afternoon, and Mary Jane was standing in front of her closet having a minor crisis. It's casual, she told herself. Vickery's is casual. Jeans are fine. Her phone rang. Tasha, right on schedule. What are you wearing? Tasha asked. How did you know I was freaking out about that? Because I know you. And this is your first real date in over a year. So what are you wearing? Mary Jane looked at the 3 outfits laid out on her bed. I don't know. Jeans and a nice top? That dress I bought last month and never wore? Something else entirely? What does the dress look like? Navy blue. Fits nice. Not too fancy but not too casual. Wear the dress. With those brown sandals. And that leather jacket. It's June. In Charleston. Bring the jacket. Trust me. You'll want it later. Mary Jane picked up the dress, held it against herself in the mirror. Tasha was right. It was perfect. Okay. The dress. Good. Now breathe. This is going to be great. What if it's not? What if Tuesday was a fluke and we have nothing to talk about and it's awkward and terrible? Then you have a mediocre dinner and move on with your life. But that's not going to happen. You've been texting all week. The chemistry's there. Mary Jane sat down on her bed. I really like him, Tash. Is that crazy? I barely know him. It's not crazy. It's exciting. Let yourself be excited. After they hung up, Mary Jane showered, took her time with her hair, actually put on makeup for once. The dress fit perfectly. The sandals were comfortable. She looked at herself in the mirror and barely recognized the woman staring back. She looked hopeful. She hadn't looked hopeful in a long time. Her phone buzzed at 6:45. Read, on my way. Be there in 10. Mary Jane, I'll be downstairs. She grabbed her purse, the leather jacket just in case, and headed down to wait outside her building. The evening air was warm but not oppressive, that perfect Charleston summer evening where everything felt possible. Reed's car pulled up at 6:58. Not the expensive sports car she'd half expected. A Tesla, dark gray, understated. He got out, came around to open her door, and Mary Jane felt her breath catch. He was wearing jeans. A white button-down with the sleeves rolled up. Canvas sneakers. His hair was slightly messy, like he'd run his hands through it. He looked nothing like the polished businessman from Tuesday and somehow even better. Hi, he said, and she could hear the nervousness in his voice. You look beautiful. Thank you. You look good too. They stood there for a moment, both smiling like idiots, before Reed seemed to remember himself. Right. Should we go? The drive to Mount Pleasant was filled with easy conversation. Reed asked about her week, actually listened when she talked about the commission she'd gotten from one of Tuesday's buyers. She asked about his work, and he told her about a historic building downtown he was trying to convert into mixed-use space without destroying its character. The trick is respecting what was there before, he said, navigating through traffic. You can modernize without erasing history. Most developers don't see it that way. They just see dollar signs. But you don't. I do see the dollar signs. I'm not going to lie about that. But I also see the responsibility. These buildings have stories. People's lives happened in them. You don't just bulldoze that. Mary Jane watched him talk, noticed the way his hands moved, the passion in his voice. You really love what you do. Is that surprising? A little. Tuesday night you made it sound like you fell into it. Like you didn't choose it. Reed was quiet for a moment. That's fair. I didn't choose it initially. But somewhere along the way, it became mine. I made it mean something to me. He glanced at her. Does that make sense? Yeah. It does. Vickery's was busy but not packed. They got a table on the patio overlooking Shem Creek, boats bobbing in the water, the sun starting its descent toward the horizon. This is perfect, Reed said, looking around. How'd you find this place? My dad used to bring me here. When I was a kid. He loved the she crab soup. Mary Jane smiled at the memory. After he died, I started coming back. Felt close to him here. I'm sorry. About your dad. Thank you. It's been 3 years, but some days it feels like yesterday. Their server came, took drink orders. Mary Jane ordered sweet tea. Reed did the same. When in Charleston, he said with a grin. They ordered food, shrimp and grits for Mary Jane, fish tacos for Reed, and fell into the kind of conversation that felt like catching up with an old friend rather than getting to know someone new. Reed told her about growing up with the weight of expectations, being the only son, the heir apparent. My dad built everything from nothing. Started with one property and turned it into an empire. And from the time I could walk, I knew it was all going to be mine someday. That sounds lonely. It was. Is. Even now, 3 years after he died, I still feel like I'm trying to prove something to him. What are you trying to prove? Reed looked out at the water. That I was worth it. The investment. The legacy. All of it. You know you don't have to earn your worth, right? You just have it. By existing. He turned back to her, something vulnerable in his expression. Logically, sure. But knowing something and believing it are different things. Yeah, Mary Jane said softly. They really are. Their food arrived. They ate and talked about everything and nothing. Favorite movies, worst first dates, the weird habits they developed living alone. Reed admitted he sometimes had full conversations with himself while working. Mary Jane confessed she'd named all her paintbrushes. You named your paintbrushes, Reed repeated, trying not to laugh. They have personalities. It's not that weird. It's absolutely weird. But I like it. The sun set while they talked, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink. Mary Jane watched Reed watch the sunset, saw the way the light caught his face. What? He asked, catching her staring. Nothing. Just thinking. About? How different you are from Tuesday. Different how? Tuesday you seemed polished. Controlled. Tonight you seem more real. Reed smiled. Tuesday I was in work mode. Armor up, game face on. Tonight I'm just me. I like just you. Yeah? Yeah. After dinner, they walked along the creek, the sounds of restaurants and bars creating a comfortable backdrop. Reed's hand brushed against Mary Jane's once, twice, and on the third time, she grabbed it. His fingers laced through hers like they'd been doing this forever. This okay? She asked. More than okay. They walked in silence for a while, just existing in the moment. Mary Jane tried to remember the last time she'd held someone's hand. Couldn't. Can I show you something? Reed asked suddenly. Sure. It's a bit of a drive. But I think you'd appreciate it. Mysterious. I'm in. They got back in his car, drove across the bridge into Charleston, through downtown and into an area Mary Jane didn't recognize. Old industrial buildings, warehouses, the kind of neighborhood that had seen better days. Reed pulled up in front of a massive brick building, 4 stories tall, windows dark. What is this? Mary Jane asked. This is my next project. Was a textile factory. Closed in the 90s. Been sitting empty ever since. He turned off the car. Want to see inside? Is that legal? I own it. So yeah. Reed grabbed a flashlight from his glove compartment, came around to help Mary Jane out. The building was even more impressive up close. Solid construction, beautiful bones, the kind of architecture they didn't do anymore. Inside, Reed turned on the flashlight, illuminating a massive open space. High ceilings, exposed brick, original hardwood floors buried under decades of dust. Oh my God, Mary Jane breathed. Right? Reed's voice echoed in the empty space. Everyone thinks I should tear it down. Build something new. More profitable. But look at this place. Mary Jane walked deeper into the building, her footsteps echoing. She could see it. Not what it was, but what it could be. Loft apartments with those high ceilings. Artist studios with perfect natural light. Retail spaces on the ground floor. You're going to convert it, she said. That's the plan. Mixed use. Residential, commercial, community spaces. Keep the character, make it functional. It's going to be beautiful. Reed came to stand beside her. You see it too, don't you? What it could be. I see potential. Same as you do. They explored the building together, Reed pointing out features he wanted to preserve, spaces he was reimagining. His passion was infectious. Mary Jane found herself asking questions, offering ideas, getting genuinely excited about a building she'd never seen before tonight. On the 3rd floor, they found a space with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. The view was spectacular, even in the dark. This is my favorite spot, Reed said, setting down the flashlight so it illuminated the room. Been coming here to think since I bought the place. Mary Jane walked to the windows. The Charleston skyline spread out before them, lights twinkling like stars. I can see why. She felt Reed come up behind her, not quite touching but close enough that she could feel his warmth. Can I ask you something? He said quietly. Anything. What are we doing here? Mary Jane turned to face him. You brought me here. Remember? That's not what I mean. Reed looked at her, and in the dim light, his expression was open. Uncertain. This. Us. I can't stop thinking about you. Haven't been able to since Tuesday. And I don't know if you feel the same way or if I'm reading this all wrong or... Mary Jane kissed him. Just leaned up and pressed her lips to his, cutting off the spiral of words. For a second, Reed froze. Then his hands came up to cup her face, and he kissed her back. It was gentle at first. Questioning. Then deeper. Mary Jane's hands found his chest, felt his heart racing under her palm. Reed's thumb brushed her cheekbone, tender and reverent. When they pulled apart, both breathing hard, Reed rested his forehead against hers. So, he said. That answers that question. Mary Jane laughed. I've been thinking about you too. Constantly. It's actually kind of annoying. Tell me about it. Patricia thinks I've lost my mind. Have you? Maybe. Little bit. Reed smiled. But I don't care. They stood there in the empty building, the city spread out below them, and Mary Jane felt something shift in her chest. Something that felt like hope and terror in equal measure. We should probably go, she said, not moving. Probably. Neither of them moved. Reed kissed her again, slower this time. Taking his time. Mary Jane let herself sink into it, let herself feel everything she'd been pushing away all week. The wanting. The possibility. The fear. When they finally made it back to the car, the city was fully dark. Reed drove her home with one hand on the wheel, the other holding hers. Thank you for tonight, Mary Jane said as they pulled up to her building. Thank you for saying yes. Again. When can I see you again? Tomorrow? Reed said immediately, then looked embarrassed. Sorry. That's too eager. How about next weekend? How about tomorrow? His smile was immediate and brilliant. Yeah? I usually paint on Sundays. But you could come over. If you want. Keep me company. I would love that. Mary Jane gave him her apartment number, told him to come by around noon. They sat in the car for another 10 minutes, neither wanting the night to end, before Mary Jane finally forced herself to get out. Reed walked her to her door like a gentleman from another era. Good night, Mary Jane. Good night, Reed. He kissed her once more, soft and sweet, then walked back to his car. Mary Jane watched him drive away before heading inside, her lips still tingling, her heart doing things hearts shouldn't do after 2 dates. Inside her apartment, she leaned against the door and let out a breath. Her phone buzzed. Reed, already home. Already missing you. Is that pathetic? Mary Jane, if it is, we're both pathetic. See you tomorrow? Reed, can't wait. She got ready for bed in a daze, replaying every moment of the evening. The hand-holding. The building. The kiss. God, the kiss. Her phone rang as she was brushing her teeth. Tasha. How was it? Tasha demanded. Good. Just good? You're killing me here. Mary Jane rinsed her mouth, climbed into bed. It was perfect. He took me to Vickery's, we talked for hours, then he showed me this building he's renovating and what? And I kissed him. Tasha squealed. Finally. Details. I need details. It was just a kiss. There's no such thing as just a kiss. How was it? Mary Jane smiled into the darkness. It was really, really good. They talked until almost midnight, Mary Jane recounting every detail she could remember. When they finally hung up, Mary Jane lay in bed staring at the ceiling, too wired to sleep. Sunday came bright and warm. Mary Jane was up early, cleaning her apartment in a way she never did, moving canvases, organizing brushes, trying to make the controlled chaos of her studio space look intentional. Reed showed up at noon exactly, carrying coffee and a bag from her favorite bakery. How did you know about this place? Mary Jane asked, taking the coffee gratefully. I asked Tasha. You have Tasha's number? Got it from you Tuesday night. She texted me Thursday with a very detailed list of things you like and things that will make you never speak to me again. Mary Jane laughed. That sounds like her. Reed looked around the apartment, taking in the paintings on every surface, the organized chaos, the life she'd built. This is amazing. It's a mess. It's perfect. It's you. He meant it. She could see it in his face. No judgment. Just genuine appreciation. They spent the afternoon in comfortable companionship. Mary Jane painted while Reed sat on her couch, working on his laptop, occasionally looking up to watch her. It should have been awkward, having someone in her space while she worked. She'd never been able to do it before. With Reed, it felt natural. Around 3, she set down her brush. I need a break. Food, please. They walked to a sandwich shop down the street, ate on a bench in the park, people watched. Reed told her about Patricia's reaction to him canceling the blind date. She said, and I quote, you met someone at the restaurant anyway, so technically I still did my job. She's not wrong. That's what I said. Now she wants to meet you. Mary Jane raised an eyebrow. Already? She's very protective. Also very nosy. But mostly protective. What did you tell her about me? Reed looked at her, something soft in his expression. The truth. That you're an artist. That you're talented and funny and real. That I can't stop thinking about you. You told her that last part? I did. She said it's about time. They walked back to Mary Jane's apartment as the afternoon stretched into evening. At her door, Reed hesitated. I should probably go. Let you get back to work. You could stay. If you want. We could order dinner. Watch a movie or something. You sure? I'm sure. They ordered Thai food, ate it on her couch while watching a documentary about forgotten architecture that Reed picked and Mary Jane pretended to be interested in. Really, she was just happy sitting next to him, his arm around her shoulders, her head resting against his chest. Halfway through, Reed's phone rang. He looked at it, frowned. I'm sorry. I have to take this. Go ahead. He stepped into the hallway. Mary Jane could hear his voice, professional and clipped, discussing something about permits and zoning. When he came back, he looked frustrated. Everything okay? Work stuff. Crisis that's not really a crisis but everyone's treating it like one. He sat down heavily. I'm sorry. This is exactly what I didn't want to happen. What do you mean? This. Work bleeding into everything else. I told you about my ex. About how I couldn't balance anything. I don't want to do that again. Mary Jane took his hand. Reed. It's one phone call. On a Sunday. That's not the same thing. It starts with one call. Then we make sure it doesn't become more than that. But you're allowed to have a job. I'm not going to fall apart because you had to answer your phone. Reed looked at her. You mean that? Ido. I have a job too, remember? I get it. Sometimes work has to come first. As long as it's not always, we're fine. Something in his expression relaxed. How are you this understanding? Because I'm a real person who lives in the real world. Not some fantasy version of a girlfriend who expects you to ignore your responsibilities. Girlfriend, Reed repeated softly. Mary Jane's heart skipped. I mean, if that's what this is. We haven't really talked about it, but... Reed kissed her. Long and slow and thorough. When he pulled back, he was smiling. I would very much like you to be my girlfriend, Mary Jane Mitchell. Then I guess I am. They finished the documentary, though neither of them was really watching. Reed left around 10, reluctant, after Mary Jane pointed out that they both had work in the morning. At her door, he kissed her goodnight. When can I see you again? You tell me. What's your week look like? Terrible. Meetings every day. Site visits. Conference call with investors Thursday night. So next weekend? That's 6 days away. Mary Jane smiled. You'll survive. Barely. He kissed her again. Text me. Call me. Send me pictures of your paintings. I don't care. I just want to hear from you. You will. I promise. The week passed in a blur of texts and phone calls. Reed sent her pictures of buildings with notes about architectural details he thought she'd appreciate. Mary Jane sent him progress shots of the commission she was working on. They talked every night, sometimes for hours, about everything and nothing. Wednesday night, Reed called at 11. Did I wake you? He asked. No. I was just finishing up in the studio. What's wrong? You sound tired. Long day. Contractor issues. Budget concerns. The usual. He paused. I just wanted to hear your voice. Well, here I am. Yeah. Here you are. She heard him settle into what sounded like a chair. Tell me about your day. What did you paint? Mary Jane told him about the commission, about the colors she was using, the vision she had for the final piece. Reed listened, asked questions, seemed genuinely interested. I wish I could see it in person, he said. Come by this weekend. I'll show you. I'm counting on it. Thursday evening, Mary Jane was cleaning her brushes when her phone rang. Reed's assistant, Patricia. Mary Jane? Hi. This is Patricia Chen. Reed's assistant. I hope it's okay that I'm calling. Of course. Is everything all right? Everything's fine. I just wanted to introduce myself properly. And maybe give you a heads up. About what? Reed has a charity gala Friday night. Big donor event for the Children's Hospital. He has to go, but he's dreading it. Hates these things. Mary Jane wasn't sure what to say. Okay. I know you two haven't been dating long, but he'd have more fun if you went with him. Not that you have to. I just thought I'd mention it. Patricia, I don't think. Think about it. That's all I'm asking. I'll text you the details just in case. After they hung up, Mary Jane stared at her phone. A charity gala. That was definitely not her world. Fancy dresses, rich people, small talk. Everything she usually avoided. But the thought of Reed there alone, hating every minute. She called Tasha. I need a dress, Mary Jane said. A fancy one. By tomorrow night. Tasha didn't even hesitate. I'll pick you up in 20 minutes. We're going shopping. Friday afternoon, Mary Jane stood in front of her mirror in a dress that cost more than her rent, having a mild panic attack. The dress was beautiful. Deep emerald green, fitted but elegant, making her skin glow. Tasha had insisted, had put it on her credit card when Mary Jane balked at the price, had promised it was an investment. Mary Jane's phone buzzed. Reed, just got out of my last meeting. Can't wait for tomorrow. What are you up to tonight? Mary Jane took a breath. Mary Jane, actually, I was thinking maybe I could crash your gala? If you want company. The phone rang immediately. Are you serious? Reed asked. Your assistant may have mentioned you could use a friendly face. I'm going to give Patricia a raise. Yes. Absolutely yes. Are you sure though? These things are boring. I'm sure. As long as you promise to save me from terrible small talk. I promise. I'll pick you up at 7. When Reed showed up at her door in a tuxedo, Mary Jane forgot how to breathe. You look incredible, he said. So do you. In the car, Reed took her hand. Thank you for doing this. You have no idea what it means. Happy to be there. The gala was exactly as boring as promised. Lots of people in expensive clothes making conversation about nothing. But Reed stayed by her side the entire time, introduced her as his girlfriend without hesitation, made her laugh during speeches, snuck her extra desserts from the buffet. During dinner, an older woman approached their table. Elegant, perfectly styled, looking at Mary Jane with open curiosity. Reed, darling. Are you going to introduce me? Mrs. Pemberton. This is my girlfriend, Mary Jane Mitchell. Mary Jane, this is Constance Pemberton. She's on the hospital board. Lovely to meet you, Mary Jane said. And you, dear. What do you do? I'm an artist. Painter. Mrs. Pemberton's eyes lit up. How wonderful. We're always looking for pieces for the children's wing. Something bright and cheerful. Would you be interested in submitting some work? Mary Jane blinked. Yes. I would love that. Excellent. I'll have someone contact you. She patted Reed's shoulder. This one's a keeper. Don't mess it up. After she left, Reed leaned over. Did you just get a commission from Constance Pemberton? I think I did. She's one of the biggest art collectors in Charleston. Mary Jane, this is huge. I know. Mary Jane felt slightly dizzy. I can't believe that just happened. Reed kissed her temple. I can. You're talented. People are going to recognize that. Later, during the dancing portion of the evening, Reed pulled Mary Jane onto the floor. I should warn you, she said. I'm not a great dancer. Me neither. We'll figure it out together. They swayed to the music, Mary Jane's head on Reed's shoulder, his arms around her waist. She felt him relax for the first time all evening. This is nice, he murmured. Yeah. It is. Best gala I've ever been to. You're just saying that. I'm really not. He pulled back to look at her. Having you here changes everything. Makes it bearable. Better than bearable. Good. Because I'm having a better time than I expected. Yeah? Yeah. They danced until Mary Jane's feet hurt, then snuck out early, driving through Charleston with the windows down, still in their fancy clothes. Want to see something? Reed asked. Always. He drove to the Battery, parked, and they walked along the water in their gala attire, completely overdressed and not caring at all. I really like you, Reed said suddenly. I know we haven't been doing this long, but I do. A lot. I really like you too. Good. He smiled. Just wanted to make sure we were on the same page. They stood at the water's edge, the historic houses behind them, the harbor spreading out ahead. Reed pulled Mary Jane close, and she let herself lean into him, let herself feel this. All of it. 2 weeks ago, she'd been alone. Content with alone. Sure, she'd always be alone. Now she was here, with this man who made her laugh and challenged her and looked at her like she was something precious. It was terrifying. It was wonderful. It was just beginning. 3 months into dating Reed Thompson, Mary Jane's life had become something she barely recognized. The commission from Mrs. Pemberton had turned into 3 more. Her Instagram following had tripled after Reed connected her with a marketing consultant who knew exactly how to showcase her work. The website his team built was clean, professional, everything she'd needed but never known how to create herself. Her art was selling. Really selling. For the first time in 3 years, she wasn't worried about making rent. And then there was Reed. Reed, who texted her good morning every day without fail. Reed, who showed up at her apartment with coffee and pastries on Saturday mornings. Reed, who sat quietly in her studio while she painted, working on his laptop, just wanting to be near her. Reed, who made her laugh and challenged her thinking and kissed her like she was the only woman in the world. It was perfect. Almost too perfect. Mary Jane was waiting for the other shoe to drop. It dropped on a Tuesday in late September. She was at Reed's place, a downtown condo with floor-to-ceiling windows and furniture that looked like it came from a magazine. They'd spent the evening cooking together, something they'd started doing on weeknights when both their schedules allowed. Reed's phone had been buzzing all through dinner. He'd ignored it, kept his attention on her, but Mary Jane could see the tension building in his shoulders. You can check it, she said, putting down her fork. I know you want to. I'm having dinner with you. Work can wait. Reed. Just look. It's clearly important. He picked up his phone, scrolled through what looked like a dozen messages, and his expression went from relaxed to stressed in seconds. Everything okay? Mary Jane asked. The Patterson Project. The historic building I told you about. City Council is pushing back on the permits. Again. He set down his phone, rubbed his face. I'm sorry. This isn't dinner conversation. Talk to me. What's going on? Reed leaned back in his chair. Short version? I've been working on this project for 2 years. Mixed-use development, preserving a historic structure, everything done by the book. But there's a councilman who wants the property for a different developer. Someone who'll tear it down and build luxury condos. Can he do that? He's trying. Making my permits difficult to get, finding code violations that don't exist, generally making my life hell. Reed's jaw tightened. And now he's calling for a special review. Which means delays. Which means my investors get nervous. Which means everything I've built on this project could fall apart. Mary Jane reached across the table, took his hand. What can you do? Attend the council meeting next week. Make my case. Hope that logic wins out over politics. He looked at her. I'm sorry. I know this is boring. It's not boring. It's your work. It matters to you. Yeah, it does. He squeezed her hand. Thanks for listening. They finished dinner, but the easy mood from earlier was gone. Reed was distracted, checking his phone every few minutes, his mind clearly somewhere else. Around 9, Mary Jane started gathering her things. You don't have to go, Reed said. You need to work. I can see it. It's okay. I don't want you to leave because of work. I'm not. I'm leaving because you need to focus and you can't do that while worrying about entertaining me. She kissed him. Call me later if you want. Or tomorrow. Whenever. Something grateful flashed across his face. You're amazing. You know that? I know. Now go save your project. But as Mary Jane drove home, she felt the first whisper of worry. This was how it started, wasn't it? Work taking priority. Late nights. Cancelled plans. The slow erosion of everything else. She shook it off. One stressful week didn't mean anything. Reed was dealing with a crisis. That was normal. Except the 1 week turned into 2. Then 3. The city council meeting got postponed. Then postponed again. Reed was working 12, 14-hour days, coming home exhausted. They still saw each other, but it was different. Rushed dinners. Quick phone calls. Him falling asleep on her couch while she painted. Mary Jane told herself it was temporary. Told herself she understood. Told herself it was fine. Until the night she didn't hear from him at all. They'd made plans for Friday. Dinner and a movie, nothing fancy, just time together. Mary Jane had finished work early, gotten to the restaurant by 7 like they'd agreed. By 7:30, Reed hadn't shown up. Hadn't texted. Mary Jane called. Straight to voicemail. She waited until 8, feeling increasingly foolish sitting alone at a table for 2, before finally ordering something to go and driving home. Her phone rang at 10:30. Reed. I'm so sorry, he said immediately. The meeting ran late, and then there was a crisis with the contractor, and my phone died and I just now got home and saw all your messages. Mary Jane sat on her couch, takeout container still unopened beside her. It's fine. It's not fine. I completely forgot. That's not fine. Reed. It happens. You're stressed. I get it. Stop being so understanding. You should be mad. What good would that do? Silence on the other end. Then, can I come over? I know it's late, but I want to see you. You sound exhausted. I am. But I still want to see you. Tomorrow. Get some sleep. We'll talk tomorrow. After they hung up, Mary Jane sat in the dark and let herself feel it. The disappointment. The familiar ache of coming second to someone's career. The worry that she was watching history repeat itself. Saturday morning, Reed showed up at her door at 8 with flowers and guilt written all over his face. I'm sorry about last night, he said. Mary Jane let him in, put the flowers in water. You already apologized. Not in person. He sat on her couch, looking more tired than she'd ever seen him. I messed up. I know I did. You forgot. It happens. It shouldn't happen. Not with you. Reed ran his hands through his hair. This is exactly what I was afraid of. Work taking over. Me being terrible at balancing everything. Mary Jane sat beside him. One missed dinner isn't a pattern. It's not just one dinner though. I've been distracted for weeks. Barely present even when I'm with you. You deserve better than that. What I deserve is for you to stop beating yourself up. She took his hand. Reed. I knew what I was getting into. You told me from the beginning that work is demanding. That you struggle with balance. I'm not going to fall apart because you're going through a stressful period. You keep saying that. But what if this is just how it is? What if I can't give you what you need? What do you think I need? Reed looked at her. Someone who shows up. Who doesn't forget plans. Who makes you a priority. You do make me a priority. This project is important. I understand that. Do you though? Because I keep waiting for you to get fed up. To realize this isn't worth it. Mary Jane felt something cold settle in her stomach. Is that what you want? For me to get fed up? What? No. God, no. Then stop pushing me away. She shifted to face him fully. I'm here, Reed. I'm not going anywhere. But you need to let me be here. Stop waiting for me to leave. Reed pulled her close, buried his face in her hair. I'm sorry. I'm handling this all wrong. You're handling it like someone who's scared. I get that. I'm scared too. Of what? Of this. Us. How much I care about you. Mary Jane pulled back to look at him. But I'm not running. So stop expecting me to. They spent the rest of the day together, both of them trying to recapture what had been there before. But something had shifted. Mary Jane could feel it. A tension that hadn't been there before. The following week, things got worse. The city council finally scheduled the hearing. Reed was consumed with preparation, working late every night, weekends included. Mary Jane barely saw him. Their communication became texts and quick phone calls, always rushed, always him apologizing for being busy. Mary Jane threw herself into her work, trying not to feel neglected. She had her own deadlines. Her own career that was finally taking off. She didn't need to spend every moment with Reed. But she missed him. Missed the way things had been. Missed feeling like they were building something together instead of just trying to survive his schedule. Thursday night, Mary Jane was working late in her studio when Tasha called. How's everything with Reed? Tasha asked. Fine. That was not convincing. Mary Jane set down her brush. He's busy. The project he's been working on hit complications. City council issues. It's stressful. Okay. And how are you dealing with that? I'm being supportive. Understanding. All the things you're supposed to be. But I'm starting to wonder if this is just how it's going to be. Him working all the time. Me waiting around for scraps of his attention. Have you told him that? Not in those words. I don't want to add to his stress. Tasha was quiet for a moment. Mary, I love you. But you can't just swallow your feelings to make things easier for him. That's not how relationships work. I know. I just don't want to be needy. He's dealing with a lot. Wanting to see your boyfriend isn't needy. It's normal. And if he can't handle that right now, he needs to tell you. Not leave you guessing. After they hung up, Mary Jane stared at her half-finished painting. Tasha was right. She'd been so focused on being the understanding girlfriend that she'd stopped being honest about how she actually felt. She picked up her phone, typed out a message to Reed. Mary Jane, can we talk? Really talk. Not just quick check-ins. I miss you. The reply came 20 minutes later. Reed, I miss you too. Come by tomorrow night? I'll make sure I'm home by 7. Promise. Mary Jane showed up at Reed's place at 7:15 the next evening. He was actually there, still in his work clothes but present. That had to count for something. Hi, he said, kissing her at the door. I ordered from that Italian place you like. Should be here in 20 minutes. Thanks. They sat on his couch, and for a moment, neither of them said anything. The silence felt heavy. You wanted to talk, Reed said finally. Mary Jane took a breath. I need to know where we stand. What do you mean? I mean these last few weeks have been hard. You're stressed, you're working constantly, and I'm trying to be understanding, but I don't know if I actually am or if I'm just making excuses. Reed's expression shifted. What are you saying? I'm saying I miss you. I miss us. The way things were before all this started. She looked at him. And I'm worried that once this project is done, there'll be another one. And another. And I'll always be the thing you fit in when you have time. That's not true. Isn't it? You forgot our dinner last week. We've barely seen each other. When was the last time we had an actual conversation that wasn't about your work or my work or logistics? Reed stood up, paced to the window. I told you from the beginning that this is how my life is. Work is demanding. There are going to be times when it takes over. I know. And I knew that. But there's a difference between sometimes and always. This is temporary. Once the council hearing is done. And then what? Another project. Another crisis. Another reason why we can't just be together without work hanging over everything. Reed turned to face her. So what do you want me to do? Quit? Walk away from everything I've built? I'm not asking you to quit. I'm asking you to make room for me. For us. Real room. Not just the spaces between meetings. I'm trying, Mary Jane. This isn't easy for me. It's not easy for me either. She stood up, frustration building. I'm trying to be supportive. But I can't be the only one trying here. You're not the only one trying. Then what are you trying to do? Because from where I'm standing, it feels like your job comes first, second, and third, and I'm somewhere around fourth if I'm lucky. Reed's expression hardened. That's not fair. Maybe not. But it's how I feel. The doorbell rang. Their food. Reed got it, paid the delivery driver, brought the bags inside. They sat at his dining table in tense silence, neither of them eating. I don't want to fight, Reed said quietly. Me neither. But I don't know how to fix this. I can't just ignore my responsibilities. The hearing is in 3 days. Everything I've worked for on this project is on the line. I know. And I'm not asking you to ignore it. I just need to know that when this is over, things will be different. That you'll actually make time for us. I will. I promise. You promised you'd be at dinner last week too. The words hung in the air between them. Mary Jane watched something flicker across Reed's face. Hurt. Defensiveness. Resignation. I can't do this right now, he said. Do what? Have this conversation. Fight about my work. Defend my choices. I have too much on my plate already. Mary Jane felt something crack in her chest. So what are you saying? I'm saying maybe we need some space. Just until after the hearing. Let me get through this, then we can talk about everything. Figure things out. Space, Mary Jane repeated. You want space. I want to not feel like I'm failing at everything. Work is already a disaster. I can't have my relationship falling apart too. So you're putting us on hold. I'm saying let's take a breath. A few days. That's all. Mary Jane stood up, grabbed her purse. You know what? Fine. Take your space. Take all the space you need. Mary Jane, don't. No. You're right. This conversation isn't productive right now. I'll leave you alone to focus on your work. That's not what I meant. Isn't it? She looked at him, saw the exhaustion and stress written all over his face, and felt her anger deflate into something sadder. I hope your hearing goes well, Reed. I really do. She left before he could respond, drove home with tears blurring her vision, feeling like the biggest idiot in Charleston. Of course this was how it would end. Not with some dramatic blow-up, but with work taking priority and her being asked to wait patiently on the sidelines until he had time for her again. She'd been here before. Different man, same story. At home, she called Tasha. He wants space, Mary Jane said when Tasha answered. What happened? Mary Jane told her everything. The conversation, the fight, Reed asking for space until after his hearing. What did you say? Tasha asked. I left. What else was I supposed to do? Sit there and agree to put my feelings on hold until his work crisis is over? No. You did the right thing. Then why does it feel so awful? Because you care about him. Because this sucks. Because even when you make the right choice, it can still hurt. Mary Jane curled up on her couch. I thought this time would be different. I really did. Maybe it still can be. Give him time to get through this hearing. See what happens after. And if nothing changes? Then you have your answer. And you move on. But Mary Jane didn't want to move on. She wanted Reed. Wanted the man who showed up at her door with coffee and flowers. Who held her hand while they walked through the city. Who looked at her paintings like they were precious. She wanted the Reed from before work consumed everything. She just didn't know if that Reed still existed. The weekend passed in silence. No texts from Reed. No calls. Mary Jane told herself it was what she wanted. Space. Time to think. Clarity. It felt like abandonment. Monday came and went. Still nothing. Mary Jane painted, met with clients, went through the motions of her life. But everything felt hollow. Tuesday evening, her phone finally rang. Reed. She stared at it for 3 rings before answering. Hi, she said. His voice sounded rough. The hearing's tomorrow. Wednesday at 2. Okay. I wanted you to know. In case you were wondering. I hope it goes well. Silence. Then, I miss you. Mary Jane closed her eyes. Reed. I know. Space. I'm the one who asked for it. But I hate this. I hate not talking to you. So talk to me. I don't know what to say. Everything's a mess. The project, us. I'm barely holding it together. Do you want me to come over? Yes. No. I don't know. He let out a breath. I need to get through tomorrow first. Clear my head. Then we can talk. Really talk. About everything. Okay. Okay? Yeah. Get through your hearing. Then we'll figure this out. After they hung up, Mary Jane sat in the dark and wondered if they actually would figure it out. Or if this was just the beginning of the end. Wednesday afternoon, Mary Jane tried to work but couldn't focus. She kept checking the time. 2 o'clock. The hearing would be starting. Reed would be making his case, fighting for his project, stress written all over him. She wanted to be there. Wanted to support him. But he'd asked for space, and she was trying to respect that. Her phone buzzed at 4:30. Reed, it's done. They approved the permits. Project moves forward. Mary Jane, that's amazing. Congratulations. Reed, can I see you? Tonight? Mary Jane, yes. Come over whenever. Reed, on my way. He showed up an hour later, still in his suit from the hearing, looking exhausted and relieved and uncertain all at once. Mary Jane opened her door, and they just looked at each other for a long moment. Congratulations, she said finally. I'm really happy for you. Thank you. He didn't move from the doorway. Can I come in? Of course. Inside, they sat on opposite ends of her couch. The distance felt wrong. I've been thinking, Reed said. About what you said. About making room for us. Okay. You were right. I've been putting work first. Letting it consume everything. And I justified it by saying it was temporary, but the truth is, there's always another project. Another crisis. Another reason to push everything else aside. Mary Jane waited, not sure where he was going. My ex used to say the same thing, Reed continued. That she felt like an afterthought. That work always came first. And I told myself she just didn't understand. That she was being unreasonable. Reed. But she wasn't. And neither are you. I'm the problem. I don't know how to let go. How to trust that the work will still be there if I take time for other things. For people I care about. So what are you saying? Reed finally looked at her. I'm saying I need to change. Really change. Not just promise to do better but actually figure out how to have a life outside of work. And I don't know if I can do that. Mary Jane felt her heart sink. So this is you ending things. What? No. Reed moved closer, took her hand. This is me being honest. About my limitations. About what I need to work on. And asking if you're willing to be patient while I figure it out. How is that different from what we've been doing? Because this time I'm not asking you to just wait around hoping I'll change. I'm going to actually get help. Talk to someone. Figure out why I do this. Why I can't let go of control long enough to just be present. Mary Jane looked at their joined hands. You do that? I'd do it anyway. I should have done it years ago. But yeah. For us. I do it. I don't want to be the reason you change. That never works. You're not the reason. You're the catalyst. There's a difference. Reed squeezed her hand. I don't want to lose you, Mary Jane. But I also don't want to keep hurting you by being someone I'm not ready to be yet. So what do we do? I don't know. Tell me what you need. Mary Jane thought about it. Really thought about what she needed to feel secure in this relationship. To believe they had a future. I need consistency, she said finally. Not perfection. Just effort. If you say you'll be somewhere, be there. If you can't, tell me. Don't just let me wonder. I can do that. I need to feel like a priority. Not the only priority. But one of them. Up there with work. You are. I promise you are. And I need honesty. If work is overwhelming and you need space to deal with it, tell me. Don't shut me out and expect me to just understand. Reed nodded. Anything else? That's it. Just show up. Be honest. Try. I can do that. He pulled her closer. I will do that. Mary Jane let herself lean against him, feeling the tension of the past few weeks start to ease. This has been awful. I know. I'm sorry. Don't do it again. I'll do my best not to. They sat like that for a long time, not talking, just being together. Eventually, Reed's stomach growled loud enough to make them both laugh. When did you eat last? Mary Jane asked. Breakfast, maybe? Reed. I was nervous about the hearing. Food didn't appeal. Mary Jane got up, pulled him toward the kitchen. I'll make us something. You sit. While she cooked pasta, Reed told her about the hearing. The arguments, the council members, the moment when he thought it might all fall apart and then didn't. Mrs. Pemberton was there, he said. Spoke on my behalf. Talked about community impact and historical preservation. I think she's the reason they approved it. The same Mrs. Pemberton who gave me commissions? The very same. She's a force of nature. They ate dinner at Mary Jane's small kitchen table, and for the first time in weeks, everything felt normal again. Easy. Like they were going to be okay. After dinner, Reed helped clean up, then pulled Mary Jane back to the couch. I meant what I said, he told her. About getting help. I'm going to find someone to talk to. Work through this stuff. Okay. And I'm going to be better about boundaries. With work. With everything. I believe you. Reed kissed her, soft and sweet. Thank you for not giving up on me. Thank you for not giving up on us. But as Mary Jane fell asleep that night, Reed's arm around her, she couldn't shake the lingering worry. They'd gotten through this crisis. But would they survive the next one? October slipped into November, and for a while, things were better. Reed made good on his promise. He found a therapist, started going every Thursday morning before work. He set boundaries with his team, delegated more, stopped checking emails after 8 at night. They had dinner together at least 3 times a week. Real dinner, where they both showed up and were present. Mary Jane watched him try, watched him struggle with letting go of control, watched him choose her over work again and again. It should have been enough. It was enough. Except some part of her was still waiting. Still bracing for the moment when work would take over again and she'd be left picking up the pieces. She hated that she felt that way. Hated that she couldn't just trust what they were building. But 3 years of being alone had taught her to protect herself, and unlearning that was harder than she'd expected. The first week of November, Mary Jane got news that should have been purely exciting. A gallery in Atlanta wanted to feature her work. Not just a few pieces in a group show, but an entire exhibition. Her first solo show in a real gallery. She called Reed immediately. "That's incredible," he said, genuine excitement in his voice. "When?" "January. They want 12 to 15 pieces. Which means I need to paint like crazy for the next 2 months. You can do it. You've got at least 6 pieces ready already, right?" "Yeah, but I want everything to be cohesive. Tell a story. That means some new work, maybe reworking a few older pieces." Mary Jane paused. "It's going to be intense. A lot of late nights in the studio. So we'll both be busy. That's okay. We'll figure it out." And they did, at first. Reed would come over after work, bring dinner, sit quietly while Mary Jane painted. She'd take breaks, eat with him, talk about their days. It felt balanced. Partnership. But as November progressed and Mary Jane's deadline got closer, the pressure mounted. She started staying up until 2, 3 in the morning. Skipping meals. Forgetting to return texts. 2 weeks before Thanksgiving, Reed showed up at her apartment at midnight to find her still painting, hands shaking from too much coffee and not enough food. "Mary Jane," he said quietly. "When did you eat last?" "I had lunch. I think." "It's midnight. That was 12 hours ago. I'm fine. I'm in the zone. I need to finish this before I lose the vision." Reed disappeared into her kitchen, came back with a sandwich and a glass of water. "Eat. The painting will still be there in 20 minutes. Mary Jane wanted to argue, but her hands were shaking too much to hold a brush steady anyway. She ate the sandwich in 4 bites, drank the water, felt her blood sugar stabilize. "Thank you," she said. "When's the last time you slept?" "I sleep." "How much?" Mary Jane didn't answer. The truth was she'd been running on 4, 5 hours a night for 2 weeks. But the show was important. The biggest opportunity she'd ever had. She couldn't afford to waste time sleeping. "You're doing the same thing I do," Reed said. "With work. Pushing everything else aside. Running yourself into the ground. That's different." "How?" "Because this is my chance. My one shot at making it as a real artist. I can't mess this up." Reed sat down beside her. "And what happens if you make yourself sick? If you're too exhausted to paint? You'll miss your chance anyway." "I'm fine." "You're not fine. You're exhausted." He brushed a hand over her cheek, and Mary Jane realized she had paint there. She had paint everywhere. "When's the last time you left this apartment?" "I went to the art supply store yesterday." "For supplies. Not for air. Not for a break." "When's the last time you did something that wasn't work?" Mary Jane felt tears prick her eyes. She was too tired for this conversation. Too stressed. Too overwhelmed. "I can't take a break right now," she said. "I have 9 pieces done. I need 6 more. That's 6 weeks to do 6 paintings while maintaining quality. The math doesn't work unless I keep pushing. So push. But also take care of yourself. Sleep. Eat. Take an hour here and there to just breathe." "I will. After the show." Reed looked at her for a long moment. "Okay. But I'm going to keep checking on you. Bringing you food. Making sure you're still human under all that paint." "Thank you." He stayed until she promised to go to bed, kissed her goodnight, made her swear she'd actually sleep. Mary Jane meant to. She really did. But as soon as he left, she was back at her easel. There was a section that wasn't working, and she could fix it, just needed another hour, maybe 2. She worked until 4 in the morning. The pattern continued. Reed would check on her, bring food, try to get her to rest. Mary Jane would promise to take care of herself, then work through the night anyway. She knew she was being hypocritical. Knew she was doing exactly what she'd accused Reed of doing. But this was different. This was her career, her dream, her one chance to prove she could make it. Wasn't it? 3 days before Thanksgiving, Mary Jane was putting the final touches on her 11th painting when her phone rang. Her mother. "Hi, Ma," Mary Jane answered, wedging the phone between her shoulder and ear so she could keep working. "Baby, I wanted to confirm Thanksgiving. You're still coming, right? Bringing Reed?" Mary Jane's brush froze halfway to the canvas. Thanksgiving. She'd completely forgotten. "Ma, I'm so sorry. I can't make it this year. I have this show in Atlanta and I'm behind on the work an." "You're not coming to Thanksgiving?" Her mother's voice held disappointment and something else. Concern. "Mary Jane, when's the last time you missed Thanksgiving?" "Never." "I know. But this is important." "More important than family? That's not fair. Isn't it? Your father, God rest him, would not be happy about you working yourself to death for some show." Mary Jane felt something snap inside her. "Daddy's not here though, is he? And he left me just enough money to take this chance, so yeah, I'm taking it. I'm sorry if that means missing one Thanksgiving." Silence on the other end. "Then, I'm worried about you. I'm fine. You don't sound fine. You sound exhausted and stressed and not like yourself." "I'm just busy. It's temporary." Her mother sighed. "That's what your father used to say. Just one more job, one more project, then he'd slow down. He never did. Worked himself into an early grave." The words hit like a physical blow. Mary Jane's father had died of a heart attack at 62. Too young. Too sudden. Stress and overwork and never taking care of himself. "I'm not Daddy," Mary Jane said quietly. "No. But you're more like him than you want to admit. Stubborn. Driven. Terrible at knowing when to stop." After they hung up, Mary Jane stood in her studio, paintbrush in hand, and felt the weight of everything crash down on her. Her mother was right. She was running herself into the ground. Just like she'd watched Reed do. Just like her father had done. But she was so close. 11 paintings done. Just 4 more to go. She couldn't stop now. Her phone buzzed. "Reed. Reed, coming over tonight. Making you dinner. No arguments." Mary Jane smiled despite herself. She typed back a thumbs up, then returned to her painting. Reed showed up at 6 with groceries and determination. He cooked while Mary Jane worked, the smell of garlic and herbs filling her apartment. It felt domestic. Comfortable. Like a glimpse of what life could be if she ever slowed down enough to live it. "Dinner's ready," Reed called. Mary Jane set down her brush, joined him at her small kitchen table. He'd made chicken marsala, her favorite, with roasted vegetables and bread. "This is amazing," she said after the first bite. "Thank you. You're welcome." Reed watched her eat. "So I wanted to talk to you about Thanksgiving. I can't go to my mother's. I already told her. I have too much work." "I know. She called me." Mary Jane's fork stopped halfway to her mouth. "She what?" "Your mom called me. Asked if I could talk some sense into you. She's worried." "So now you're both ganging up on me?" "We're concerned. There's a difference." Reed leaned back in his chair. "When's the last time you took a full day off?" "I don't know. September maybe?" "Mary Jane. It's November." "I know what month it is." "Do you?" "Because you forgot about Thanksgiving. You've been painting 18-hour days. You barely sleep. This isn't sustainable. It's temporary. Just until the show. That's 2 more months. You can't keep this pace for 2 more months." Mary Jane set down her fork, suddenly not hungry. "What do you want me to do? Give up the show? Tell the gallery I can't deliver? Throw away the biggest opportunity of my career?" "No. I want you to take 1 day off. Come to Thanksgiving with me. Meet my family. Eat turkey. Rest. Then get back to work on Friday." "Your family?" Mary Jane blinked. "You want me to meet your family?" "I was going to ask anyway. Before all this. My mom's been asking about you for weeks. Wants to meet the woman who's apparently made me a functional human being." Despite everything, Mary Jane felt warmth spread through her chest. "You talk about me to your mom?" "Of course I do. You're important to me. She wants to meet you." Reed reached across the table, took her hand. "1 day, Mary Jane. That's all I'm asking. Thursday. Thanksgiving. Then you can go back to your cave and paint until your fingers fall off if you want." Mary Jane wanted to say no. Wanted to explain that she couldn't afford even 1 day. But looking at Reed, seeing the concern and care in his expression, she found herself nodding. "Okay. 1 day. Yeah. But I need to work late tonight to make up for it." "Deal." Thanksgiving Day arrived gray and drizzling. Mary Jane woke up at Reed's place. She'd stayed over Wednesday night after working until 11, feeling anxious and underprepared. "I should have brought something," she said, watching Reed get dressed. "A pied. Wine. Something." "You're bringing yourself. That's enough. Your mother's going to hate me." My mother's going to love you. Stop worrying. But Mary Jane couldn't stop worrying. Meeting the family was a big step. It meant this was real, serious, heading somewhere. And she wasn't sure she was ready for that. Reed's mother lived in a historic home in the old village of Mount Pleasant. The kind of house that had been in families for generations, with a wraparound porch and live oaks dripping Spanish moss. This is where you grew up? Mary Jane asked as they pulled up. This is it. Fair warning, my mom can be a lot. She means well, but she's intense. More intense than Patricia? Patricia works for me. My mom created me. There's no comparison. They were greeted at the door by a woman in her mid-60s, blonde hair going silver, wearing an apron and a smile that was all warmth. You must be Mary Jane, she said, pulling Mary Jane into a hug before she could respond. I'm Caroline. I've heard so much about you. Come in. Everyone's in the kitchen. Everyone turned out to be Reed's sister, Emma, her husband, David, and their 2 kids. Plus an uncle, 2 cousins, and a family friend. The house was full of noise and laughter and the smell of turkey. Mary Jane felt overwhelmed within 5 minutes. But Caroline was kind, asking about her art without being pushy. Emma was friendly, telling embarrassing stories about Reed as a kid. The children were polite and curious. David talked to her about architecture, genuinely interested in her perspective as an artist. It should have been perfect. Instead, Mary Jane felt like she was watching it all from behind glass. Part of her was there, smiling and answering questions. But most of her was back at her apartment, thinking about the 4 paintings she still needed to finish, the deadline looming, the pressure building. During dinner, Caroline asked about the Atlanta show. It must be so exciting, she said. Your first solo exhibition. It is. I'm just trying to make sure everything's perfect. Reed mentioned you've been working quite hard. I hope you're also taking time to enjoy the process. I will. After it's over. Caroline smiled, but Mary Jane saw something in her expression. Understanding. Maybe a little sadness. After dinner, while everyone was having coffee and pie in the living room, Mary Jane slipped outside to the porch. She needed air. Space. A moment to breathe. Reed found her 5 minutes later. You okay? He asked. Yeah. Just needed a minute. Your family's wonderful. But overwhelming. A little. Mary Jane looked out at the darkening street. Your mom's nice. I can see where you get it from. She likes you. I can tell. How? She asked if you wanted the family cornbread recipe. She only does that for people she's planning to keep around. Mary Jane smiled. Good to know. They stood in comfortable silence for a moment. Then Reed said, You're thinking about the paintings. Is it that obvious? You've been distracted all day. Which I get. But you're here. You might as well actually be here. I'm trying. I know. Reed pulled her close. Thank you for coming. For meeting everyone. I know it wasn't easy with everything else on your mind. I'm glad I came. Really. And she meant it. Even distracted, even worried about work, being here with Reed and his family felt right. They stayed another hour, then drove back to Charleston. Reed dropped Mary Jane at her apartment despite her invitation to stay. You need to work, he said. And I need to not be a distraction. I'll see you tomorrow? Tomorrow, Mary Jane agreed. Inside her apartment, she went straight to her studio. She had 4 paintings left. 8 weeks to do them. If she worked every day, all day, she could do it. She worked until 3 in the morning, finally finishing what would be her 12th piece. 3 more to go. The next week blurred together. Mary Jane painted, slept a few hours, painted some more. She saw Reed in brief snatches, dinner here, a movie there, but mostly she was alone with her work. The 13th painting came together in 5 days. The 14th took a week. By early December, Mary Jane had 14 pieces done and 1 more to go. She should have felt relieved. Instead, she felt numb. Exhausted in a way that sleep couldn't fix. Disconnected from everything that wasn't work. Reed noticed. Of course he noticed. You're running on empty, he said one night, finding her hunched over her easel at midnight. Mary Jane, you're going to make yourself sick. 1 more painting. That's all. Then I'm done. And then what? You collapse? End up in the hospital? Don't be dramatic. I'm not being dramatic. I'm being realistic. You can barely keep your eyes open. When's the last time you had a full night's sleep? I don't remember. That's my point. Reed sat down, ran his hands through his hair. I can't watch you do this to yourself. It's killing me. I'm fine. You're not fine. And I know because I've been exactly where you are. Working myself into the ground, telling everyone I'm fine, ignoring my health until something breaks. He looked at her. I don't want that for you. Mary Jane set down her brush. What do you want me to do? Take a break. A real one. A few days. Let your mind rest. The last painting will still be there. I can't. The deadline is 6 weeks away. You have time. What if I lose the inspiration? What if I can't get it back? Then you'll find new inspiration. But you can't create anything worthwhile when you're this exhausted. Mary Jane wanted to argue. Wanted to explain that he didn't understand, this was different, she had to push through. But the words wouldn't come. She was too tired. Maybe you're right, she said quietly. Yeah. I'll take the weekend off. Rest. Get my head straight. Relief flooded Reed's face. Thank you. Come stay with me. Let me take care of you for a couple days. Mary Jane agreed, too tired to argue. She packed a bag, let Reed drive her to his place, fell asleep in the car before they even got there. The weekend passed in a fog. Mary Jane slept 14 hours the first night, 10 the second. Reed brought her food, made sure she ate, didn't push her to talk or do anything. Just let her exist. By Sunday evening, she felt almost human again. Better? Reed asked, finding her on his couch, actually watching TV instead of staring blankly at it. Better. Thank you for making me stop. Thank you for listening. Mary Jane pulled him down beside her. I'm sorry. For being so obsessed with the show that I forgot about everything else. You don't have to apologize for caring about your work. Just maybe don't care so much that you forget to care about yourself. That's rich coming from you. I know. Which is how I recognize the signs. Reed kissed her forehead. We're a pair, aren't we? Two workaholics trying to figure out how to have an actual life. At least we understand each other. There's that. They spent the rest of the evening together, just being. No work talk. No stress. Just them. Later, lying in Reed's bed, Mary Jane stared at the ceiling and thought about the past 2 months. About how consumed she'd been with the show. About how she'd pushed everything else aside, her mother, Thanksgiving, Reed, her own health, in pursuit of perfection. She'd become exactly what she'd accused Reed of being. So focused on success that she'd forgotten why she wanted it in the first place. The realization sat heavy in her chest. Reed, she said into the darkness. Yeah? I think I understand now. What it's like. The thing you were trying to explain about work taking over. Yeah. I get it. And I'm sorry. For judging you before. For thinking it was simple to just choose differently. Reed rolled to face her. You didn't judge me. I did. A little. I thought you were just bad at balance. But it's not that simple, is it? When you care about something that much, when it feels like everything depends on getting it right, it's really hard to let go. It is. But we have to try anyway. Both of us. I know. They lay in silence for a while. Then Mary Jane said, I'm scared. Of what? That I'll finish the show and it won't matter. That I've been killing myself for something that won't change anything. It'll change things. You're talented, Mary Jane. People are going to see that. But what if they don't? What if I'm not good enough? Reed pulled her close. Then you keep painting anyway. Because you love it. Because it's who you are. Success doesn't validate that. You already are an artist. The show just gives other people a chance to see what I already know. Mary Jane felt tears slip down her cheeks. How are you always so sure? Because I've seen your work. I've watched you create. And I know that whether this show launches your career or just opens a door, you're going to be fine. Because you don't quit. Even when you probably should. Mary Jane laughed through her tears. Is that a compliment? It is. You're stubborn as hell. It's one of my favorite things about you. She kissed him, pouring everything she couldn't say into it. Gratitude. Fear. Hope. Love. The word settled in her chest, and Mary Jane realized it was true. She was in love with Reed Thompson. Had been for a while now. Maybe since that first night at the wrong table. But saying it out loud felt too big. Too scary. Too much on top of everything else. So she kept it to herself, held it close, and let herself just feel it instead. Monday morning, Mary Jane went back to her apartment, back to her studio, back to the final painting. But something had shifted. She wasn't painting from a place of panic anymore. She was painting because she wanted to. Because she had something to say. The last piece came together in 4 days. Not perfect, but honest. Raw. Real. When it was done, Mary Jane stepped back and looked at all 15 paintings together. Her whole heart on display. The story of a city, yes, but also the story of finding home. Of taking risks. Of letting people in. She took a picture, sent it to Reed. Mary Jane, it's done. All 15. Reed, they're beautiful. You're amazing. Celebrate? Mary Jane, yes. But first I need to sleep for about 12 hours. Reed, sleep first. Then celebrate. I'm so proud of you. Mary Jane fell into bed and slept dreamlessly for the first time in months. When she woke, it was dark outside and her phone showed 6 missed calls. 3 from Reed, 3 from a number she didn't recognize. She called Reed back first. Finally, he answered. I was about to come over and check for a pulse. Sorry. I was dead to the world. What's wrong? Nothing's wrong. But the gallery in Atlanta's been trying to reach you. They want to move up the show. Mary Jane sat up. What? Why? I don't know. They just said it was important and to call them as soon as possible. Mary Jane's hands shook as she dialed the gallery. This was it. They were canceling. They'd seen the work and changed their minds. But when the gallery director answered, her voice was excited. Mary Jane, thank goodness. Listen, we have an opportunity. There's a collector coming through Atlanta in 2 weeks. Major buyer, huge influence in the art world. We want to preview your work for her. Would you be willing to move your show up to mid-December instead of January? That's 3 weeks away. I know it's fast. But this could be huge for your career. This woman discovers artists. Launches them. If she likes your work. Mary Jane's mind raced. The paintings were done. She'd need to get them framed, shipped, arrange travel. But it was doable. Barely. Yes, she heard herself say. I can do that. Excellent. I'll email you the details. After they hung up, Mary Jane sat in the dark and tried to process what had just happened. Her show was in 3 weeks. 3 weeks. She called Reed back, told him everything. That's incredible, he said. This is your big break. Or my big disaster. What if I'm not ready? What if? You're ready. The work is done. This is just logistics now. Just logistics, Mary Jane repeated. Right. I can do logistics. We can do logistics. Together. What do you need? And just like that, Reed was there. Helping her find a framing company that could do rush work. Coordinating shipping. Booking her flight and hotel. Being the practical, organized person she needed when her brain was too overwhelmed to function. 2 days later, all 15 paintings were packed and on their way to Atlanta. Mary Jane had her flight booked for December 14th, the night before the show opening. Everything was happening. Everything was terrifying. And for the first time in months, Mary Jane let herself imagine what might come next. Not just the show, but after. A career. A future. A life that included both her art and the man who'd stood beside her through all of it. Maybe, just maybe, everything was going to be okay. The flight to Atlanta was supposed to be routine. Mary Jane had packed her best dress, the one Tasha insisted made her look like she belonged in a gallery. Reed had driven her to the airport, kissed her goodbye, promised to fly up Saturday morning for the opening. You're going to be amazing, he'd said at the departure gate. They're going to love your work. You don't know that. Ido. I've seen what you created. Trust me. Mary Jane had boarded the plane, settled into her seat, and tried to calm the anxiety thrumming through her veins. This was it. The moment she'd been working toward for 3 years. Everything hinged on the next 2 days. She was staring out the window, watching Charleston disappear beneath clouds, when someone slid into the seat beside her. Hi, Reed said. Mary Jane's head whipped around. What are you doing here? Flying to Atlanta. Same as you. You said Saturday morning. Elite. Surprise. Reed stowed his bag under the seat in front of him, looking pleased with himself. Did you really think I was going to let you do this alone? Reed, you have work. That meeting with the investors. Moved to next week. Patricia helped me clear everything. I'm yours for the next 3 days. Mary Jane felt her throat tighten. You didn't have to do that. I wanted to. This is important. You're important. So here I am. She kissed him right there in seat 17B, not caring who saw. When they pulled apart, Reed was grinning. So I made the right call? You made the perfect call. They landed in Atlanta 2 hours later, took a cab to the hotel, checked into their room. The gallery opening wasn't until tomorrow night. They had a whole day and a half to just be together. What do you want to do? Reed asked, dropping their bags by the bed. Sleep. I'm exhausted. We just sat on a plane for 2 hours. Nervous exhaustion. It counts. Reed pulled her down onto the bed, wrapped his arms around her. Then sleep. I'll be here when you wake up. Mary Jane woke 3 hours later to find Reed working quietly on his laptop, giving her space. She watched him for a moment, this man who'd rearranged his entire schedule just to support her, and felt her heart swell. Hi, she said. Reed looked up, smiled. Feel better? Much. Thank you for being here. Nowhere else I'd rather be. They spent the afternoon exploring Atlanta, walking through Piedmont Park, getting coffee at a tiny cafe Reed found on his phone. It felt good to be away from Charleston, away from the pressure and expectations. Just the two of them in a new city with nothing to do but exist. That evening, they went to the gallery for a preview. The space was perfect. White walls, natural light, high ceilings. And there, spread across 3 rooms, were Mary Jane's paintings. Seeing them hung professionally, lit properly, displayed like they mattered, took her breath away. "Oh my God," she whispered. The gallery director, Sophie, came over with a huge smile. "Mary Jane. They look incredible, don't they?" "They really do. The collector I mentioned, Diane Hartwell, is coming tomorrow at 4. Before the official opening at 7. She wants to see everything without the crowd. Just her? Just her. And whoever you want with you. I'll introduce you, then give you space to talk about the work." After Sophie left, Reed took Mary Jane's hand. "You okay?" Terrified. "What if she hates everything?" "She won't. You can't know that." "I can. Because your work is extraordinary. And anyone with eyes can see that." They walked through the exhibition together, Reed asking about each piece, Mary Jane explaining her process and inspiration. By the time they left, she felt calmer. Ready. Friday afternoon at 3:45, Mary Jane stood in the gallery wearing her best dress, hands shaking, waiting for Diane Hartwell. Reed was beside her, calm and steady. "Breathe. I'm breathing. You're hyperventilating. That's different." Sophie appeared at 4 sharp. "She's here." Diane Hartwell was not what Mary Jane expected. Mid-50s, dressed casually in slacks and a sweater, gray hair pulled back in a simple ponytail. She looked like someone's favorite art teacher, not one of the most influential collectors in the country. "Mary Jane," Diane said, shaking her hand warmly. "Thank you for meeting with me early. I like to really look at work without distractions." "Of course. Thank you for coming." "This is my boyfriend, Reed," Mary Jane added. "He wanted to be here. Moral support. I respect that." Diane smiled at Reed, then turned to the paintings. "Shall we?" For the next hour, Diane walked through the exhibition slowly, asking occasional questions about technique or inspiration. Mary Jane answered as honestly as she could, trying not to oversell, just explaining what each piece meant to her. When they finished the last room, Diane was quiet for a long moment. "You paint buildings like they're people," she said finally. "Like they have souls and stories and secrets. Most artists see architecture as static. You see it as alive." "That's exactly how I see it," Mary Jane said quietly. "It shows. This work is mature. Confident. Unique." Diane turned to face her. "I want to buy 3 pieces. And I want to introduce you to some gallery owners in New York and Los Angeles. People who would kill for work like this." Mary Jane felt the room tilt. "You want to buy 3? The Bridge at Sunset, the Warehouse series, and the one you call Coming Home. That last one especially. It's stunning." Thank you. I don't know what to say." "Say you'll let me help launch your career properly. You have real talent, Mary Jane. The kind that doesn't come around often. Don't waste it being Charleston's best-kept secret." After Diane left, Mary Jane stood in the empty gallery, trying to process what had just happened. Reed pulled her into his arms. "Congratulations," he said into her hair. "Did that really just happen?" "It did. You did it." Mary Jane pulled back to look at him. "We did it. I couldn't have gotten here without you. You would have found a way. Maybe. But it would have been a lot harder and a lot lonelier." The opening that night was a blur. 50 people showed up, maybe more. Collectors, critics, other artists, people who'd seen Diane's social media posts about discovering new talent. By the end of the night, Mary Jane had sold 8 of her 15 paintings. 8. She kept waiting to wake up, to find out this was all a dream. But Reed was there, solid and real, keeping her grounded. Bringing her water when she forgot to hydrate. Stepping in when conversations got overwhelming. Being exactly what she needed without her having to ask. After everyone left and the gallery closed, Sophie popped a bottle of champagne. "To Mary Jane Mitchell," she said, raising a glass. "Tonight was just the beginning." Mary Jane drank the champagne, accepted the congratulations, and let herself feel it. All of it. The joy. The relief. The overwhelming gratitude. Back at the hotel, she collapsed on the bed, still in her dress. "I can't believe that happened," she said to the ceiling. Reed lay down beside her. "Believe it. You earned this. I sold 8 paintings, Reed. 8. And Diane Hartwell wants to introduce me to galleries in New York and LA. I know. I was there. My whole life just changed in one night." "Yeah. It did." Mary Jane rolled to face him. "Thank you for being here. For believing in me even when I didn't believe in myself." "That's what people do when they're in love," Reed said simply. Mary Jane's breath caught. "What?" Reed propped himself up on his elbow. "I'm in love with you, Mary Jane. Have been for a while now. And I know this might not be the right time to say it, but I can't keep it in anymore. I love you. I love you too, Mary Jane said, the words tumbling out. God, I love you so much. I've been wanting to say it for weeks. Reed kissed her, slow and deep and full of promise. When they finally pulled apart, both breathing hard, he was smiling. So we're in love, he said. Apparently. Good. That's good. They lay there grinning at each other like fools until Mary Jane's phone buzzed. Her mother. I should take this, she said. Go ahead. Ma? Mary Jane answered. Baby, how did it go? I've been waiting all night. Mary Jane told her everything. The collector, the sales, the connections. Her mother cried happy tears, told her how proud she was, how her father would have been beside himself with joy. He always knew you were special, her mother said. Always told me our Mary Jane was going to do something big. After they hung up, Mary Jane wiped her own tears, laughed at herself for being so emotional. Happy tears? Reed asked. The happiest. My mom's proud of me. My dad would have been proud. And I'm here with you. Everything feels perfect right now. It is perfect. They flew back to Charleston on Sunday, both of them exhausted and happy. Reed had to go into the office to catch up on everything he'd missed, but he promised to come over that evening. Mary Jane spent the afternoon calling Tasha, unpacking, trying to process everything that had happened. Her life was different now. Really different. She had opportunities, connections, a future as an artist that was actually sustainable. It was everything she'd worked for. When Reed showed up at 7 with takeout and flowers, Mary Jane practically tackled him at the door. Hi, he laughed, catching her. Miss me? Maybe a little. They ate dinner curled up on her couch, trading bites of pad thai and talking about the weekend. Reed told her about the work crisis he'd averted, the emails Patricia had handled, the relief he felt that everything had held together without him. I think I'm actually getting better at delegating, he said. Turns out the world doesn't fall apart if I'm not personally managing every detail. Who knew? Mary Jane teased. My therapist. Patricia. You. Pretty much everyone but me. After dinner, Reed got quiet. He kept looking at Mary Jane like he wanted to say something, then stopping himself. What? She finally asked. Nothing. Just thinking. About? Us? The future. Everything. Mary Jane's stomach flipped. That's a lot of thinking. Yeah. Reed set down his plate, turned to face her fully. I have something I want to ask you. But I need you to know there's no pressure. If you say no, we keep going exactly as we are. Nothing changes unless you want it to. Reed, you're making me nervous. Sorry. I'm not good at this. He took a breath. Move in with me. Mary Jane blinked. What? Move in with me. My place is bigger, better light for painting. I'm barely there anyway because I'm always here or you're at my place. It makes sense. We love each other. Why keep paying for 2 apartments when we're basically living together already? Reed. And before you say it's too fast, I know. It's only been 5 months. But they've been the best 5 months of my life. And I don't want to wait anymore. I want to wake up with you every morning. Come home to you every night. Build a life together. Really together. Mary Jane felt tears prick her eyes. You mean that? Every word. I love you, Mary Jane. I want this. Want us. Want everything. I love you too. She took his hand. But I need to think about it. Not because I don't want to. Because it's big and I want to make sure I'm saying yes for the right reasons. Take all the time you need. That night, after Reed left, Mary Jane stood in her apartment, looking at 3 years of independence. Her studio, her space, her sanctuary. Moving in with Reed meant giving this up. Sharing space. Compromising. Letting someone into her life in a way she'd never done before. It was terrifying. It was also what she wanted. She called Tasha. He asked me to move in with him, Mary Jane said. And you said? That I'd think about it. What's there to think about? You love him. He loves you. You're together constantly anyway. I know. But it feels fast. It's been 5 months. That's not that fast. And you're 33, not 23. You know what you want. Doi. You do. You're just scared. Which is normal. Moving in together is a big step. Mary Jane sat down on her couch. What if it doesn't work? What if we drive each other crazy? Then you figure it out. Together. That's what relationships are. Figuring things out as you go. When did you get so wise? I've always been this wise. You just never listened before. After they hung up, Mary Jane walked through her apartment one more time. She loved this place. But she loved Reed more. And the truth was, she was ready. Ready to take the next step. Ready to build something together. She texted Reed. Mary Jane, yes. Reed, yes what? Mary Jane, yes, I'll move in with you. Her phone rang immediately. Are you sure? Reed asked, and she could hear the hope and excitement in his voice. I'm sure. It's scary and fast and completely crazy, but I'm sure. When? After the new year? Give me time to sort through everything, figure out what to keep. Whatever you want. Take all the time you need. Reed, yeah? I really love you. I really love you too. December passed in a blur of planning. Mary Jane started packing, sorting through her belongings, deciding what to keep and what to donate. Reed cleared space in his condo, turned the second bedroom into a proper studio with north-facing windows and custom shelving for her supplies. Christmas came, and Mary Jane met Reed's extended family. They welcomed her warmly, his mother pulling her aside to say how happy she was that Reed had found someone who understood him. He's different with you, Caroline said. Lighter. More himself. Thank you for that. New Year's Eve, they stayed in, just the two of them. At midnight, Reed kissed her and said, "This year is going to be incredible. I can feel it." Me too. The first week of January, Mary Jane officially moved into Reed's place. It took 3 trips with a rented truck, Tasha and Patricia both helping, everyone making jokes about how much stuff one artist could accumulate. But by Sunday evening, everything was in place. Mary Jane's paintings on the walls, her books on the shelves, her presence in every room. How does it feel? Reed asked, finding her standing in their bedroom. Like home, Mary Jane said. It feels like home. February brought the New York gallery show Diane had promised. Reed flew up with Mary Jane, held her hand through another opening, another round of collectors and critics. This time, she sold 12 of the 15 pieces she'd brought. March brought a commission from a major hotel chain. They wanted original art for their Charleston location, dozens of pieces, enough money that Mary Jane could finally breathe without worrying about finances. April brought an article in Southern Living magazine, featuring Mary Jane's work and her story. The phone calls and emails started pouring in. Through it all, Reed was there. Supporting her, celebrating her successes, helping her navigate the business side of being an artist. And slowly, carefully, he was building his own balance. Leaving work at reasonable hours. Taking weekends off. Making time for them. They weren't perfect. They still fought sometimes, usually about work-life balance, about whose career took priority when. But they talked through it, compromised, figured it out together. One Saturday in May, Reed woke Mary Jane up early. "Get dressed," he said. "Something nice. We're going out." "Where?" "You'll see." He drove them to the old textile factory, the building he'd shown her on their second date. But it was different now. The renovation was complete. Beautiful loft spaces, commercial retail on the ground floor, community areas throughout. "Reed, this is incredible," Mary Jane said, walking through the finished space. "Wait till you see the best part." He led her to the 3rd floor, to the room with the floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. The same room where they'd first kissed. But now it was furnished. A studio space with perfect light, custom built-ins, everything an artist could want. "What is this?" Mary Jane asked. "It's yours. If you want it. Studio space. No rent for the first year. After that, whatever you think is fair." Reed took her hand. "I wanted to do something for you. Something that shows how much I believe in your work. In you." Mary Jane felt tears streaming down her face. "Reed, I can't accept this." "Why not?" "It's too much. It's not enough. You've given me so much, Mary Jane. You've made me better. Happier. You've shown me how to actually live instead of just work. Let me do this one thing for you." Mary Jane looked around the space, imagining her paintings here, her supplies organized on those shelves, the morning light streaming through those windows. "Okay," she whispered. "Thank you." Reed pulled her close, kissed her forehead. "There's one more thing." "What?" He stepped back, pulled a small box from his pocket, and Mary Jane's heart stopped. "Reed, let me say this first." He took a breath. "I know we said we'd take things slow. Figure out living together before thinking about anything else. But I can't wait anymore. I don't want to wait. I want forever with you, Mary Jane. The real kind. The waking up together every morning kind. The fighting about whose turn it is to do dishes kind. The growing old together kind." He opened the box. A simple diamond ring, elegant and perfect. "Marry me," Reed said. "Please. Make me the happiest man in Charleston. In the world. Marry me." Mary Jane was crying too hard to speak. She nodded, then found her voice. "Yes. God, yes." Reed slipped the ring on her finger, then pulled her into a kiss that felt like coming home and starting something new all at once. When they finally pulled apart, both laughing and crying, Reed said, "I love you so much." "I love you too." So much it's ridiculous. They stood in the empty studio space, the city spread out below them, and Mary Jane thought about that night 6 months ago. The wrong table. The blind date that never happened. The man who'd approached her with uncertainty and changed her entire life. "What are you thinking?" Reed asked. "That I'm really glad I sat at the wrong table." "Best mistake you ever made." "Second best." "First was saying yes to dinner with a stranger." "I think we can call it a tie." They spent the rest of the day there, making plans, dreaming about the future. Reed talked about a small wedding, something intimate with just family and close friends. Mary Jane agreed, adding that she wanted to get married somewhere meaningful, maybe the Battery where they'd walked after the gala. "Whatever you want," Reed said. "As long as you marry me, I don't care where or when or how." "How about September? Before it gets too crazy with work." "September's perfect." They drove home as the sun set over Charleston, the city painted in shades of gold and pink. Mary Jane looked at the ring on her finger, at the man beside her, at the life they were building together, and felt nothing but gratitude. 6 months ago, she'd been alone. Content with alone. Sure, she'd always be alone. Now she was engaged. In love. Building a career and a future with someone who saw her, understood her, loved her exactly as she was. It wasn't the life she'd planned. It was better. That evening, they called their families. Caroline cried happy tears. Mary Jane's mother did the same, saying she knew from the first time she talked to Reed that he was special. Tasha screamed so loud they had to hold the phone away from their ears. Patricia sent a text that just said, "Finally," with 17 exclamation points. Later, lying in bed, Reed pulled Mary Jane close. "Happy?" he asked. "Happier than I knew I could be." "Good. That's the plan for the next 60 years. 60? At least. I'm planning to live to 100 out of spite." Mary Jane laughed. "Spite for who?" "Anyone who thought I'd work myself to death. I'm going to live forever just to prove them wrong." "With me?" "With you. Always with you." Mary Jane kissed him, long and slow, pouring everything she felt into it. Love, gratitude, joy, hope. When they pulled apart, Reed smiled. "You know what I just realized?" "What?" "If you hadn't sat at the wrong table, if Tasha hadn't changed restaurants last minute, if my blind date had actually shown up, none of this would have happened." "Fate," Mary Jane said. "You believe in that now?" "I believe in us. If that's fate, then yeah. I believe." Reed kissed her again, and Mary Jane let herself sink into it, into him, into this life they'd built from a chance encounter and a wrong table. Outside, Charleston hummed with life. Inside, everything was exactly as it should be. The setup had gone wrong in all the best ways. And Mary Jane Mitchell, artist and future wife of Reed Thompson, couldn't imagine it any other way. September arrived warm and golden, the kind of Charleston evening where the humidity finally broke and everything felt possible. Mary Jane stood at the Battery in a simple white dress, holding a bouquet of magnolias and sweetgrass, looking at Reed in his suit, both of them grinning like fools. 50 people surrounded them. Family, friends, the people who'd supported them, believed in them, helped them get here. The ceremony was short and sweet. They'd written their own vows, kept them simple and honest. "I promise to show up," Reed said. "Every day. Even when work is crazy and life is overwhelming. I promise to choose us." "I promise to let you in," Mary Jane said. "Even when I'm scared. Even when it's hard. I promise to build this life with you, not just beside you." When the officiant pronounced them married, Reed kissed her like they were the only two people in the world. At the reception, held in Mary Jane's new studio space, they danced and laughed and celebrated. Caroline pulled Mary Jane aside to welcome her officially to the family. Mary Jane's mother cried happy tears and told stories about her father, how he would have loved Reed. Tasha gave a toast that was equal parts embarrassing and heartfelt. "To my best friend, who found love at the wrong table with the right man. May you always sit exactly where you're supposed to be." Patricia gave her own toast. "To Reed, who finally learned that life is more than work. And to Mary Jane, who taught him. Thank you for making my job easier." As the evening wound down, Reed pulled Mary Jane onto the dance floor one more time. "Hi, wife," he said. "Hi, husband. How does it feel?" "Perfect. Scary. Amazing. All of it." "Yeah? Yeah." They swayed to the music, and Mary Jane looked around at the life they'd created. The studio filled with her art and their friends. The city visible through the windows. The future stretching out ahead of them, full of possibility. "What are you thinking?" Reed asked. "That I'm really glad your assistant set you up on that blind date." "Me too. Best date I never had. Second best. The actual best was the one with me." Reed laughed. "Can't argue with that. They danced until the music stopped, until the guests started leaving, until it was just them in the empty studio, city lights twinkling below. Ready to go home? Reed asked. Mary Jane took his hand. With you? Always. They left the studio, drove through Charleston to their home, started the first night of their married life exactly as they'd lived the past 9 months. Together. In love. Building something beautiful. And Mary Jane knew, with absolute certainty, that this was just the beginning. The best parts were still ahead. The paintings she'd create. The life they'd build. The love that would grow deeper with every passing year. All because she'd sat at the wrong table and said yes to a stranger who became her everything. Sometimes the best things in life came from the most unexpected places. From chance encounters and changed plans. From being exactly where you didn't expect to be, at exactly the right time. Mary Jane Mitchell Thompson fell asleep that night in her husband's arms, grateful for every twist and turn that had led her here. To home. To love. To happily ever after. The kind that was real and messy and absolutely perfect.